Those are going to be overfishing, dehumanization, politics.
So overfishing is human trafficking politics?
Yeah, sorry.
Is that human trafficking on the dehuman extensions on politics, or
Nope.
the
The dehumanization extensions will be covered on the politics.
So it's actually on human trafficking.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Overfishing, and then their advantage, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then politics, pretty much down everything you just said. I'll start with an overview on politics,
Okay.
and then I'll move to the extensions, and then the actual politics phase. So everybody ready? The affirmative team makes a key flaw in today's round when they concede you the evidence that, but they need on both their overfishing and human trafficking advantages that they're going to have other people support them. Now this takes out their Coast Guard key arguments because other people are supporting them and other people can do these programs just as much. They never read you any evidence in the 2AC specifically why the Coast Guard is key above these other agencies or why the Coast Guard is better than these other agencies. They just give you evidence that says these three organizations are doing this and these three organizations are doing this. They never give you any evidence specifically saying if the Coast Guard was removed, then we would see these impacts. This means there's no link to these impacts. They cannot access these impacts in the end of today's round. They're not going to be able to access them. They're not something you vote on. Now let's go over to politics. First, when you look at the politics scenario, the affirmative team doesn't understand this. This is what's going to happen right now. Right now, Obama is pushing Kerry Lugar to pass through is pushing the Kerry Lugar unconditional aid when it goes to reconciliation. When that happens, the affirmative plan overloads the agenda and kills his political capital to get it passed. That is, the political capital is key to stabilizing Pakistan, which is key to two things right now. The first is preventing poverty, which Nathan and I advocate is going to be key, and later on key more than dehumanization, but also from preventing war. But even further, it's key to sustaining U.S. leadership. This comes from Henderson in 2009. An implosion of Pakistan would likely be perceived as a failure of U.S. policy and leadership with implications both regional and worldwide. Like in the situation of the Islamic Revolution in Iran, the fall of the Shah was a setback for the U.S. that still resonates. This in turn takes out their Coast Guard, anything about the Coast Guard, because if the U.S. doesn't have military hard power leadership throughout the world and any perception of leadership whatsoever, that takes out the efficiency of the Coast Guard and their ability to solve this. But now let's go specifically down the dehumanization flow. Now they advocate that they solve poverty. They're not going to be able to solve poverty with their case. Nowhere within it do they say they solve poverty. Within they say they stop wars, which is key to solving poverty. But and then they. Okay, they never specifically answer like our analysis on why we must focus on poverty and the war and see how these two are interconnected in Pakistan and how we must solve these problems. They never answer this. All they say is like dehumanization outweighs this, but we're going to see that dehumanization doesn't outweigh this. They advocate that war is going to equal poverty, but if we pass the Kerry Lugar Act, we solve both problems. We prevent both from exponentially exploding in the area and preventing these large like conflicts and poverty conflicts to establish themselves. But then they advocate that dehumanization is going to be a larger impact. But Nathan and I advocate that poverty is some type of dehumanization where people don't have the ability to excel whatsoever. They're stuck in this continual phase of not being to excel themselves. That's going to be larger impact of dehumanization. It's something you magnify more over. You magnify over their dehumanization impacts, and this is going to be key because you again extend the McGuire evidence, which says you vote on poverty first. Now let's go on to the politics proper. First, they advocated that Obama is pushing healthcare, but actually Pakistan is at the top of Obama's agenda. This comes from 10 to 611. The House voted to ramp up aid to Pakistan, but lawmakers still need to resolve deep differences on how many strings come attached. Obama has strongly endorsed boosting civilian assistance as part of the fight against al-Qaeda movements in Pakistan, which he has made a top priority of his young administration, and the White House is working to spur a quick passage of aid bills, APP 611. The legislative process is complicated, but the administration increased the interaction to spur the progress of the bill. The White House has spoken to Congress and legislative affairs to both the state and the White House, and Kerry Lugar is a high priority on the agenda. Daily Times 612 Pakistan is critical to America's security and interest in Islamabad. Needs Washington's help in dealing with the challenges facing. Obama has endorsed the bill by Kerry and Lugar and hope the measure would pass by soon. Lawmakers and congressional sources spoke of momentum building up towards the progress on the two versions of the bill. A high priority item for the U.S. government administration officials have increased their interaction to spur the progress on the AIDS bill. And then they go down and specifically say this is not conclusive on Lincoln Obama going to spend political capital, but actually do look to the evidence that specifically says Obama is going to have to go in and use his political capital and his support to get the reconciliation process complete and indeed make sure it passes. But here's some more evidence. This Obama's political capital is key to preventing the House's rigid bill. This comes from Cloud 09. Obama is attempting to head off efforts in Congress to place tough conditions on the package for Islamabad. The issue of conditioning aid has the potential to turn out difficult for the fight for the White House because many of those leading the fight are allies on other issues. So you specifically see that right now Obama has to use political capital past this, and he is going to use political capital. You'll extend that evidence to the end of the flow. Now, specifically, this is going to be the most important part of the debate. They say there's no link that Congress overlooks. They do not understand fiat whatsoever today's round, we specifically looked to it whether or not the time frame matters. They still have to go through Congress. Even if it happens in a snap of the finger, they're still going through Congress. That went through Congress and all the legislative processes, however fast it went. It's still going to go through Congress. They're still going to offset it. We're still going to access this link. Just because, don't blame us because they don't understand fiat and the basic meanings of it. Then they advocate environmental leadership because of the climate bill, and that they advocate that the climate bill is going to no link this because it's already coming. But theirs is not the climate bill. The climate bill is a cap and trade program that's coming. That is coming much later on. Their bill is nothing like this whatsoever. There's not going to be a no link argument out of this because they're completely different from the climate bill, and they advocate that it has to come soon. And you see that that's nothing related to what Obama wants whatsoever. Finally, they advocated that Greenhawks support this, but the external inherency evidence that DOD is already using alternative energy that takes that out. And then group 6 and 7, bipartisan is not key. Political capital is key to this, and that's why. And that doesn't matter because of the time frame.